Welcome to NTD Evening News. I'm Chris Beers. Here are today's top stories. A day of prayer, worship, and song as thousands of Americans rededicate the United States as one nation under God. What faith means to people in the U.S. and what else to look out for as America prepares to celebrate its 250th birthday. Mariotsu with the National Mall. Senator Bill Cassidy loses the Republican primary to Trump-endorsed Congresswoman Julia Letlow and Louisiana State Treasurer John Fleming. It's the first time in 12 years that an incumbent GOP senator has lost renomination. A major drone attack targets the Moscow region overnight. More than 1,000 Ukrainian drones were shot down or disrupted across Russia, and a high-rise building was hit, killing several people. The latest on the damage and response. Tens of thousands joined a rally in central London in the UK on Saturday to voice their concerns over the changing face of the British nation. Topics in the spotlight included illegal immigration and discontent with the current government. The Long Island Railroad remains shut down with 300,000 daily passengers forced to find alternatives. NTD's Sean Marshall spoke with a spokeswoman for the workers. And an Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, the World Health Organization declaring it a public health emergency of international concern after 80 suspected deaths.
This is NTD Evening News, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Thousands of Americans streaming to the National Mall in Washington to rededicate the United States as one nation under God. The Freedom 250 Commission calling it a national jubilee of prayer, praise, and thanksgiving, just a couple months ahead of America's 250th birthday. We now go live to NTD's White House correspondent Mari Otsu, who's at the National Mall, taking in the festivities. Hello, Mari. It looks like the event was quite the event.
Hey, Chris. Good evening to you. Yeah, it's a bit hard to hear you, actually, because revelry is still happening right now, and it's been a very unifying and moving event here on the National Mall with long lines stretching early this morning. Our crew got here at 7, and there were lines all around the mall here, gathering at the Capitol, despite the sweltering heat, and attendees here staying all day. And speakers were also very wide-ranging. There were faith leaders, there were cabinet members, there were authors, and lots of people just giving their personal testimonies here. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, shared the moving story of General George Washington at Valley Forge in the winter of 1777, when it looked like American independence at that time was a bit grim, actually, and even Washington's pastor had lost faith at that moment, but the general did not. And the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, very fittingly told those in attendance to look to George Washington as an example in that winter of Valley Forge to have hope for this nation. Take a look.
But George Washington did not lose faith. We know the painting of him at Valley Forge. One hangs in my office. Kneeling in the deep snow, his hat and sword nearby. Washington bows his head. Amid all the bleak nights, the loss and despair, the lack of proper support, George Washington performed a profound act. He prayed. Let us pray as he did. Let us pray without ceasing. Let us pray for our nation on bended knee. And let us ask our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, as Washington did on that momentous day.
Meanwhile, Chris, House Speaker Mike Johnson had a very unifying prayer for our country. He's calling to dissolve any partisan differences or divides as we rededicate our nation to one nation under God. Take a look.
Pray that you guide our lawmakers, that you walk with us and grant us the moral clarity to rise above partisan differences and give us the wisdom and humility to serve selflessly and sacrificially, and help us to devote ourselves with a renewed piety and patriotism to the eternal truths of your word and to the enduring principles of the declaration you blessed us with. Above all, Lord, grant us the courage in your favor to preserve this republic.
And And some other special guests here included Dr. Larry Arnn, that's the president of Hillsdale College, Senator Tim Scott, and Dr. Ben Carson. And President Trump, meanwhile, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio said their prayers, but they did so in a video message. Chris?
And Mari, you got to speak to some of the special guests more personally about their outlook on the future of America. What are some of the biggest takeaways there?
Sure, Chris. Yeah, so that was a real pleasure. I got to speak with Eric Metaxas. He is a best-selling author and host of the Eric Metaxas Show, also host of Socrates in the City. He's written extensively about the American founders and Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and his message today is one of not despairing because he believes this about America at this moment. Take a look.
God's hand is on this nation right now. He's allowed us to slip to the edge of the abyss to wake us up. And I think that millions of Americans have been waking up in the last few years, that if we don't get serious, if we don't know the history of our country, we're going to lose it. Again, this is the irony, okay? Here he is going to talk to communists who do not believe we're made in God's image. Therefore, if you belong to Falun Gong, if you're a Uyghur Muslim, you're dispensable, you're disposable. We can murder you for your organs, as Jan Jekielek wrote in his book, Kill to Order. Their view is dramatically different from the biblical view that says we're made in God's image, everyone is sacred. America is based on that idea. Communist cultures are based on the opposite idea, that might makes right.
And Chris, Eric Metaxas wasn't the only guest today who spoke to me about why we should really value our liberties here in America and how America is different from other countries around the world right now, and how we should be very grateful for our liberties here, especially in contrast with other regimes like the Chinese Communist Party. I was joined by Pu Gao, whose father, Pastor Gao of the Light of Zion Church, was arrested and detained actually exactly 1 year ago today under the communist regime in China. And the imprisonment of Pastor Gao, along with Pastor Ezra Jin, has drawn international condemnation from human rights groups and international governments. And here's Gao today telling me about why he thinks this widespread religious persecution is happening in China, not just for House Christians, but also for Uyghurs and Falun Gong. Take a look.
This is just the beginning of the crackdown, I think. It's been happening for many years, so it's on a broader, systematic crackdown on Christians. So I think this just sets an example of the contrast of, the CCP and what we have here in the United States. And I think the main reason is that China, as an atheist country, instead of putting God before man, like many Christians practice, they believe it's man before God. And then they want to fundamentally change that. So, yeah, that's why they've been increasingly cracking down on Christians, especially those who have not been willing to conform to their rules and play by their rules. I think it's an ideology difference. I think that's the fundamental difference between these two countries. They seem to fear what they do not understand and what they do not want to understand. And they seem to fear that what they cannot control, which is we answer to God, we don't answer to man.
And Pastor Gao's case, by the way, was one of those included last week in the approved resolution that was urging President Trump to raise these human rights abuses, these cases of these political prisoners, including Hong Kong activist Jimmy Lai, including Pastor Ezra Jin and Gulshan Abbas. But it's sadly unsurprising in the light of the CCP's persecution of religious groups, as I said, like House Christians, Falun Gong, and Uyghurs. President Trump coming back from those talks just a couple days ago with CCP leader Xi Jinping, saying that he did raise the case of Pastor Ezra Jin and that Xi Jinping is considering it. Meanwhile, though, Chris, another guest I did speak to was the CEO of Freedom 250, Pete Cratch, adding to the sentiment, telling me that something unique about America is the participation, the universal participation that is wanted. Take a look.
attitude and what we have here in the United States. You don't see people from China or Iran trying to come into the United States. And, the other thing is participate, get involved. And that's what we want. We want participation from everybody, because we want to touch every single American. And Freedom 250, we have over 1,000 events, hundreds of initiatives. We got something for everybody. And what we're really doing is we're bringing all Americans together. So whether it's faith groups, schools, corporations, nonprofits, institutes, sports teams, our job is to integrate that. And so all Americans experience one common experience for the 250, and it's all year long.
And he also says to look out for the big signature events coming up this summer, like the Great American State Fair, for which he says it will be here on the National Mall with all of 50 states represented here. And he says it will be kind of like a state fair. And he adds to look out for July 4th this year. And he says they will be the greatest. He vows that the fireworks will be the, quote, biggest fireworks in all of history, and that that's something coming directly down from President Trump. So a lot to look out for here this summer. Chris, back to you.
Alrighty, thank you for that update, Mari. Next, Senator Bill Cassidy has lost the Republican Senate primary election in Louisiana, coming in third place. Trump-endorsed Congresswoman Julia Letlow won almost 45% of the vote, and Louisiana State Treasurer John Fleming came in second. Here are the details.
Senator Cassidy becomes the first Republican since 2012 to lose a Senate primary while holding Senate office. And Cassidy spent more on ads than Letlow and Fleming combined. President Trump posted a message of congratulations on Truth Social. He said Letlow beat an incumbent senator by record-setting numbers. Fox News reported that Trump backed Letlow before she even entered the race. She told Fox that Trump encouraged her to run for Senate and offered his complete and total endorsement. Cassidy and President Trump fell out of favor after Cassidy supported impeachment efforts against the president after the January 6 Capitol breach. He was one of 7 Republicans to go against the president. Cassidy also called on Trump to drop out of the 2024 presidential race after his indictment for allegedly mishandling classified documents. Even after Trump won the Republican nomination, Cassidy declined to endorse him. Second place John Fleming still has a chance to win the Republican nomination. He and Letlow will face each other again in a runoff election, since neither candidate garnered 50% of the vote. Fleming served as White House Deputy Chief of Staff during Trump's first term. The runoff winner will likely become the next senator, since Louisiana has not had a Democratic Party senator since 2015.
Next, rounding up President Donald Trump's visit to Beijing last week, his meeting with Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping was framed by the Iran war, tensions in the Taiwan Strait, ongoing trade tensions between the U.S. and China, and more. Here to discuss is political analyst and host of Ringside Politics, Jeff Cruer. Jeff, it's good to have you back. Before we go into the president's China visit, give us your assessment of Republican Senator Bill Cassidy's primary loss in your state of Louisiana yesterday.
Right. Well, I mean, it really was something that we've been expecting. When he voted to convict President Trump, he really became very unpopular among Louisiana Republicans. And then he tried to make amends over the past few months by working with the president. But it really was too late. He had already become persona non grata. And there was a large block of Republican voters that wanted to send him packing. About 76% of Republican voters did not support Cassidy. So what I predict, though, over the next 9 months, while he's still in the Senate, he's going to be a thorn in the president's side. He's going to go back to being the real Bill Cassidy, which is, very moderate, much like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. And he's going to be a hard vote to get for the president's legislation.
Coming back to President Trump's visit to Beijing, he told Bret Baier on Fox News that the most important thing to come out of the meeting was their relationship, adding that relationship is everything in deal making. What do you think was the most important thing to come out of this meeting, Jeff?
Well, even Reagan talked to Gorbachev. We've been doing summits with our enemies for a long time. The president met with Kim Jong-un of North Korea. So it's good to talk. This is our foremost adversary, obviously a very dangerous communist regime. There wasn't a lot of concrete agreements. There wasn't a lot of successes that we could point to, other than having the dialogue, other than the relationship between the two men. China is still doing things to their own population that are a violation of human rights. I mean, they're still a bad actor on the world stage, obviously, but it's our foremost enemy. So it's good that we're talking, and we'll see if any of this materializes, whether it be Iran, whether it be trade. But right now, I mean, nothing concrete has been agreed to.
Jeff, here's a soundbite of President Trump speaking to Fox News about trade with China.
Trade has been very strong. We're getting a lot of soybeans for our farmers. We're doing a lot of, there's a lot of things happening for the farmers. He committed to 200 Boeings, big ones, 777s and 737s, and a lot of big ones, big, beautiful Boeing planes, 200, that's a lot, with a commitment that if they do a good job, we could go up to 750.
The president also says China will buy U.S. oil. Is that a win?
I mean, if it all materializes, I mean, yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see if they buy more planes. I mean, we'll see if they fulfill their commitments. I mean, that's been a problem in the past. A lot of these commitments haven't been fulfilled. Let's not forget we've got a huge trade deficit still with China, and it's a country that obviously we're not on a level playing field with as far as trade. And I know the president has been really concerned about the trade imbalances that we've had with countries across the world. So getting them to agree to buy more American products is a good thing. We'll see if they follow through on their commitments, because in the past, China has not followed through on commitments. And that's sort of been a history of their rules. So we'll see if this materializes, Chris.
Now, an Epoch Times report states that China's security for this state visit was significantly greater than even Trump's 2017 visit. Some 2,000 security personnel on site there, shutting down large parts of Beijing just for this. What do you make of the security and the pageantry surrounding this event?
Well, that was really what struck me. A lot of pageantry, a lot of ceremony. A lot of rolling out the red carpet, which, of course, President Trump likes all of that. But I'm glad that security was heightened, because obviously the president has been receiving threats worldwide. He just had another assassination attempt at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He's survived several others. So we need to make sure that he's fully protected. And that is certainly a concern when you go to a country like China, where you have people in that country that we can't trust. So I'm glad he's back home. I was worried about his safety over there. A lot of people that I talked to were worried as well. So we'll see, again, if this turns out to be the big home run that he says it was. But right now, as far as, concrete accomplishments of the visit, it's still to be determined, Chris, as to whether all of this will materialize. And then, of course, you have the question of all those business leaders there. And there's a big controversy as to whether that was a good idea or not.
Now, Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping said during the visit that Taiwan independence and peace in the Taiwan Strait are as irreconcilable as fire and water, which are very irreconcilable. How does that jive with the U.S. stance towards Taiwan?
Well, from what I can tell, our stance toward Taiwan has not changed. We've got a very delicate relationship. I mean, we have to, walk this tightrope as far as how we treat Taiwan and China. So it seems like, although there was worry that maybe we have backed away from Taiwan, that according to administration officials, we have not. Obviously, this is still a goal of China. and nothing has changed there. So I'm glad to hear from administration officials that our stance concerning Taiwan has not changed. And there was some initial reporting that maybe the president had somehow backed away from support of Taiwan during his negotiations, his conversations with Xi.
And Jeff, just wrapping up here, how does the meeting between Trump and Xi leave things with the Iran war?
Well, that's another area to be determined because I think there was a lot of hope that China would somehow use their influence with Iran to try to bring this war to an end, which I think would be in the best interest of everyone to end this war. It looks like it could be ratcheting up again very soon because, Iran is not looking to make a deal. It looks like they're, have a very hard and fast position and don't seem to want to negotiate. So it looks like we're going to have to go back to using military action. And the hope was that China would use their influence to help bring the war with Iran to an end. The president talked about future cooperation. They released a statement that did not indicate that they're going to cooperate. They just said the war should have never started. So we'll see, Chris. I mean, I'm hopeful that we can have some kind of influences that'll bring this war to a successful conclusion and open up the Strait of Hormuz again, which is what we're going to need to bring down energy prices.
All right, political analyst Jeff Crouere, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Chris.
Coming up, a major drone attack targets the Moscow region overnight. More than 1,000 Ukrainian drones were shot down or disrupted across Russia. And a high-rise building was hit, killing several people. The latest on the damage and response. Plus, tens of thousands joined a rally in central London in the UK on Saturday to voice their concerns over the changing face of the British nation. Topics in the spotlight included illegal immigration and discontent with the current government. Stay tuned for that when we come back.
Kids love it. Parents trust it.
Obviously.
Explore GJW Plus Kids Series and Ganjiang Campus courses led by expert educators.
This is spectacular.
Children will learn values like respect, responsibility, and knowledge in language, science, and more.
Wow.
All while having fun.
Perfect.
Subscribe today at GJW Plus Kids, where learning meets fun.
The bladder control aisle. You won't shop here again. Your private business is your own. The constant struggle is over. Now there's a better way. It's HDIS. We home deliver bladder control products. We understand how you feel. For over 25 years, we've home delivered to many of the 20 million Americans who deal with incontinence. We offer all brands. We pay shipping and use plain, unmarked boxes. If we can help you or someone you care for, call for your free product sample pack and $45 in money-saving coupons. Our counselors will help you choose the right product. And unlike stores, we're always in stock. You'll get what you need. Satisfaction guaranteed. HDIS, the better way.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog, $45 in money-saving coupons, and free product samples, call 1-800-701-6159. That's 1-800-701-6159.
There's a whirlwind of a move. They're moving all the time, and we sense that. But this little girl.
Welcome back. President Trump remaining in Washington this weekend following his trip to China. The president is now escalating his message toward Iran, warning Tehran in a social media post that the clock is ticking. The comments come as tensions continue rising across the Middle East. President Trump renews his warnings to Iran earlier today, urging the country to move quickly toward a deal over its nuclear program. In a Truth Social post, Trump wrote, "For Iran, the clock is ticking," adding that time is of the essence. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a phone call with Trump. Netanyahu said the two discussed developments following Trump's trip to China, along with broader regional concerns. The call comes amid growing speculation that the U.S. might consider renewed military action against Iran. Regional intelligence officials told Fox News that Iran may be trying to delay negotiations as tensions continue in the region. Officials added that signs of fuel shortages are beginning to emerge inside Iran following recent U.S. sanctions and restrictions. A top Hamas commander killed in an Israeli strike. Israel says it has killed the head of Hamas's military wing in Gaza. Officials say the strike targeted one of the group's most senior commanders. It comes as fighting continues across the Gaza Strip despite ongoing ceasefire efforts. Hamas has also confirmed the commander's death. The strike came during continued Israeli attacks across Gaza on Friday. Local medics say at least 7 people were killed in separate strikes, including women and a child. Hamas sources noted the commander had survived multiple previous assassination attempts. Israel says he was a long-serving leader and a key planner of the October 7th attacks. The attacks killed thousands of people and resulted in more than 250 hostages taken. Talks between Israel and Hamas remain stalled as efforts continue toward a broader ceasefire plan. And a major Ukrainian drone attack targeted the Moscow region overnight. Russian officials say at least 4 people were killed and several buildings were damaged. Authorities are calling it the largest drone attack on the Russian capital region in more than a year. More than 1,000 Ukrainian drones were shot down or disrupted across Russia. Officials say the attacks came despite Russia's dense air defenses reaching several hundred miles into Russia from its border. Here's more.
A high-rise apartment building near Moscow was damaged during the overnight drone attack. Russian officials say 3 people were killed around Moscow, and another person died in the Belgorod region near Ukraine's border. Officials say a woman was killed after a drone hit a home in a suburb north of Moscow. Rescue crews searched the rubble for other possible victims. 2 other men were killed in a nearby area, where several apartment buildings and infrastructure sites were also damaged. Moscow's mayor says more than 120 drones were intercepted near the capital in the last 24 hours. He added that 12 people were injured, including several near Moscow's oil refinery. Authorities noted the refinery itself was not damaged. Earlier in the day, Russia's defense ministry reported more than 1,000 Ukrainian drones were shot down or disrupted across the country overnight. The attacks come as Russia and Ukraine continue exchanging heavy strikes in recent weeks, despite calls for peace talks.
Tens of thousands gathered in central London on Saturday at the Unite the Kingdom rally. Activist Tommy Robinson organized the event and spoke there among others. Here's more.
A rally called Unite the Kingdom saw tens of thousands march through the UK's capital on Saturday.
The demographic of this country is changing without us being asked about it. Most elections in recent times have been asking to stop the immigration, the illegal immigration into this country and the demographic change.
I think that too much migration, not migration, but too much migration is causing a lot of problems, upsetting a delicate balance here. And also, of course, net zero is breaking us. We can't stand on our own 2 feet to provide energy for ourselves.
Union Jack and St. George flags filled Parliament Square in London, the end point for the march. Gatherers listened to speakers, including the organizer, activist Tommy Robinson. Topics raised among those on stage included concerns over Islam, illegal immigration, and discontent with the current government. Robinson showed photos of various politicians on screen, asking the crowd to react to each one. Current British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's photo brought the loudest boo, while cheers rang out for President Trump's photo. Elsewhere in the city, a pro-Palestine march was taking place on the same day. Police deployed 4,000 officers in what they called their biggest public order operation in years.
Coming up, CIA Director John Ratcliffe visits Cuba in the shadow of President Trump's visit to China. We'll have a former CIA agent on the show for analysis when we come back.
Baby, you see, you're so right for me, and I Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am so glad you ladies are here. You each have your own rooms.
Thank you.
Get settled in. I'll call you for dinner. Adopting teen sisters, it's a lot. Girls, you're gonna be late. You want breakfast?
No thanks, we're good.
They're always in their own world.
What'd you get there?
Twice the work. Twice the surprises.
Just try it.
But if you think of it that way, they're also twice as fulfilling.
I think you should ask her yourself.
Is it okay to call you Mom?
Of course you can.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. Victory. Fumble. Repeat. It always came back.
Okay, here we go, throw it!
Yeah. You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Nice.
Welcome back to the show. CIA Director John Ratcliffe meeting with top Cuban officials in Havana last week. A CIA official told Reuters that Ratcliffe let Cuba know the U.S. is ready to seriously engage in economic and security issues, but only if Cuba makes fundamental changes. Joining me now to discuss is national security analyst and former CIA officer Claire Lopez. Good to have you, Claire. To start off, can you talk to us about the fundamental changes that need to happen in Cuba?
Yeah, good evening, Chris. So the concerns, I think, that prompted Director Ratcliffe's trip to Cuba include the presence of Iranian military advisors on Cuba. There has also been a Hezbollah presence there on Cuba for a very long time. This is 90 miles off the southern coast of the United States, Florida. And then, of course, there is also the concern about China and Russia, both of which have spy listening posts on Cuba. So all of these things, are looked at as direct security threats to the United States. And of course, then the condition of the island itself and the people of Cuba, suffering for decades under tyrannical communist rule.
Now, what might economic and security engagement between the United States and Cuba actually look like if they were to come to some kind of agreement?
Well, I think that they would be looking at something that would include more participation by the people in the governance of their own country. Right now, it is very much a dictatorship, has been since Fidel Castro took over back in 1959. The economy is wrecked. The people are suffering not only from a communist system that provides them little to nothing, but also there is now the blockade by the United States cutting off supplies of oil to Cuba. Certainly after the arrest, the extradition of Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela, the supplies previously Cuba received from Venezuela, no more. And they are going through an awful period of time with brownouts, blackouts of electricity, and it's only getting worse. Venezuela also used to provide exports to Cuba of food supplies. That's not happening anymore either. So all of these things relate to the tyranny of a communist regime. And I think that's part of what they're looking at. Of course, we know now also that the United States Department of Justice has just issued an indictment against Raul Castro, brother of the former, of course, Fidel Castro, and himself a former president of Cuba. Indictment over the 1996 shootdown of a civilian plane, a humanitarian group called Brothers to the Rescue, when that plane was flying over international waters. So there were, I think, 4 fatalities from that. And that is what the Department of Justice indictment is about. It seems perhaps that might be echoing the lead up to the extradition of Nicolas Maduro out of Venezuela back in January this year, 2026.
Now, Claire, you're describing different forms of pressure the U.S. is putting on Cuba, this potential indictment, an effective oil embargo via sanctions. Do you think that this is enough pressure to bring Cuba to the table? Is that what we're seeing with the CIA director visit?
Hard to tell for the moment. I mean, Director Radcliffe was only there about, 3 days ago, I think, at the end of this past week. We'll have to see what the formal response coming from Cuba might be. But if Iran, for example, and its regime is anything to go by, they also may try to stall, buy for time, string things out, as the Iranian regime has done, perhaps with those military advisors. Remember, Iranian military advisors in Cuba, that may be the route that they try to take also.
Expand on this. You're mentioning Iranian military advisors in Cuba multiple times. You also mentioned Hezbollah. What role are they playing there?
Well, we know, for example, that Iranian assistance, military assistance to Cuba includes the supply of drones. Now, we also know, of course, that Venezuela had been supplied by Iran with drones. In fact, Iran was manufacturing drones in Venezuela, not manufacturing them, as far as we know, in Cuba, but providing them there. Now, those drones could be either simply surveillance and or they could be weaponized. And being only 90 miles off the shore of Florida, Cuba is very close by within a range for drones. And that is certainly one of the concerns with that Iranian presence there on Cuba.
Now, Claire, the Department of State announced that the United States is ready to provide $100 million in direct assistance to the Cuban people if the Cuban regime will permit it. Those are their words. What do you think the holdup is?
I don't know for sure, but I would suspect that it is a reluctance on the part of the Cuban regime, headed up, of course, by Miguel Diaz-Canel, right now president. That they would not want to accept that kind of assistance from the United States, humanitarian as it may be, because with that come certain, commands that the United States attaches strings, if you will, attached to that humanitarian aid.
Claire, just in closing here, I'm curious about how you compare Cuba to Venezuela, because as soon as Maduro was gone, Trump was able to put pressure on Venezuela in such a way that they've basically appeased the United States. The U.S. forming relations, reopening the embassy there, for example. But do you think that they're less ideologically based in Venezuela. I mean, it was basically run by a massive drug cartel. And in Cuba, however, it's strong communist roots.
Yeah, I see a lot of parallels, honestly, Chris, between Cuba and Venezuela. And even though Maduro himself is no longer in Venezuela, his vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, who is a Maduro loyalist, is still there as acting president, interim president, I guess. And others at senior ranks of the Maduro regime, Diosdado Cabello, for example, the commander, if you will, of the colectivos, these militias all over Venezuela, run by him, but with the backing, the assistance of Cuba. On Cuba itself, then, very much similar outpost has been established there over these decades, with the presence, as we've mentioned, of Cuba, of Iran, of Hezbollah, of Russia, although even much closer to the U.S. Mainland. So I see a lot of parallels there, and I'm not sure that Venezuela, has really transformed in any significant way quite yet. And I expect that there will be similar delays with regard to Cuba.
All right, national security analyst Claire Lopez, thank you so much for sharing your view on this.
Thank you, Chris.
About 3,500 workers at New York's Long Island Railroad went on strike Saturday. The service comes to a halt for the first time in 32 years after failing to reach a wage agreement. The LIRR is the busiest commuter rail system in the United States, according to the union. NTD's Sean Marshall has more on strike updates.
There will be no train today!
Shuttle buses, ferries, carpooling, ride shares, and working from home are the alternative options for commuters affected by the Long Island Railroad strike.
For the first time in 30 years, the hundreds of thousands of people who rely on the LIRR are without service because of a strike. We all know that the railroad is the lifeblood of Long Island. Without it, life as we know it is simply not possible.
We're striking for fair wages, simple cost of living increase.
The railroad, which serves New York City and its eastern suburbs, ceased operations just after midnight Friday after 5 unions representing about half its workforce walked off the job.
The bottom line is, no one wins in a strike. Everyone is hurt.
Failure to plan is planning to fail. And this is what Kathy Hochul has done. She has failed. She's failed all of the New Yorkers. Long Island, New York City. This place is shut down because of Kathy Hochul.
300,000 daily riders are affected due to the strike, about 137,000 on a typical Saturday. The last Long Island Railroad strike was in 1994, and it only lasted 2 days.
They should have provided something. Even people, for now, this weekend, it started today, but yeah, now I have to spend $100, I think, a little over $100 to get to Jamaica Boulevard.
Yeah, I have to do something to get to my house, I live in Queen, Ocean Park, so I got to try to get the bus there.
This strike would not have been possible if the Trump administration had not taken the highly unusual step last fall of releasing labor unions for mediation. Unfortunately for our commuters, the direct consequence of this action is the strike we have today.
When you want to come to the table at the last minute and, we're going to start negotiating now, it's nothing good. They had nothing good to offer from the beginning, and it's where we are now. No further along. So don't believe what you hear from the MTA or the governor. They like to talk in circles.
The MTA intends to issue prorated refunds for May monthly holders for each suspended business day.
Just 3 days of a strike would erase every dollar of additional salary that workers would receive under a new contract.
The unions have been trying to negotiate with the MTA for over 3 years.
President Donald Trump blamed Hochul for the strike and said she should not have allowed it to happen. Trump signed an executive order in January to appoint a second emergency board to conduct mediation to avoid a strike. That was after the unions asked him to intervene. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
South Korea's government is trying to avoid a major labor strike at the country's biggest employer, Samsung Electronics. The world's largest memory chip maker and its union will resume pay talks on Monday with a government mediator. Here's more.
South Korea's government has vowed to try everything to avoid a major labor strike at Samsung Electronics, the country's biggest employer. The looming industrial action at the tech giant could involve tens of thousands of workers. It has sparked economic worries, rattled foreign investors, and threatened global supply chains. Prime Minister Kim Min-suk said on Sunday just one day of suspension at Samsung's semiconductor factory could incur direct losses of up to some $667 million. After an emergency meeting with ministers, Kim told a news briefing that his administration would take action to protect the nation's economy. The government will have no choice but to pursue all possible options, including emergency arbitration, he said. Pay talks broke down this week as Samsung and its union struggled to find a compromise over bonus payouts. The world's largest memory chip maker has reaped huge profits from a global memory shortage. It has offered generous bonuses to staff, but a proposal to give its memory chip employees at least 6 times more than other workers in its logic chip design and manufacturing businesses has caused upset. Their union is threatening to stage the largest strike in the conglomerate's history from May 21st for 18 days. Chairman J.Y. Lee has apologized to customers around the world over the issue. An emergency arbitration order can be invoked by the Labour Minister if a dispute is deemed likely to harm the economy or daily life. It would ban industrial action for 30 days while a government body conducts mediation and arbitration. The union says it will not be pressured into a pay deal that is not favorable to its members.
An Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, the World Health Organization today declaring it a public health emergency of international concern after 80 suspected deaths and 9 laboratory-confirmed cases. Here are the details.
The WHO says the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda is a public health emergency of international concern and poses a risk to neighbouring countries. The outbreak caused by the Bundibugyo virus is extraordinary, the UN Health Agency said on Sunday, as there are no approved specific therapeutics or vaccines, unlike for previous Ebola Zaire strains. It comes a day after the DRC reported at least 80 suspected Ebola deaths and nearly 250 suspected cases in its Ituri province. This is the 17th outbreak in the country, where the disease was first identified in 1976. Neighbouring Uganda has reported at least 2 apparently unrelated cases, including 1 death, involving people who had travelled from the DRC. The WHO warned that the number of people infected could be much larger, given the high positivity rate of the initial samples and the growing number of suspected cases being reported. But it said the current outbreak does not amount to a pandemic. The highly contagious virus causes fever, body aches, vomiting and diarrhoea. It spreads through direct contact with contaminated materials or bodily fluids, or people who have died from the disease. The WHO says people infected have to isolate, and their contacts should not travel. The health agency is urging countries not to close their borders or restrict travel, as this could lead to people making informal border crossings that are not monitored. The global emergency status aims to beef up international public health measures, cooperation and funding to contain a major outbreak.
As thousands are gathering at the National Mall for a prayer celebration, NTD's Mari Otsu was there to speak to the crowd about their hopes and prayer for America.
Could you just share what your prayer is for America as we rededicate this year in the 250th anniversary of our nation?
I want this nation to turn around and turn back to God, to go back to our roots that George Washington did. He dedicated this nation to God when we were founded, and I want us to go back to that.
Wisdom for our leaders and unity. America will become a great nation and to help other countries in the world.
I pray for just revival among Gen Z and among the younger generation to not be complacent. You know, our legislators, we pray for them, that we will be one nation under God and actually live that out.
We need the Lord, and that is my biggest prayer, for everybody to come together and to love one another just as Christ has commanded us to do.
My personal prayer is that God moves mightily through this world to bring us all together as one again under his guiding and his leading.
I know our country needs God, and it needs God in the greatest way, because he is the healer, he is the protector, he is the one that will save us all.
I just say I'm honored to be here to pray for the country, for the patriotism, for all God has done for us. He has just been so gracious to this nation.
Coming up, the annual International Contemporary Furniture Fair is kicking off in New York City. We'll see what some of the exhibitors are showcasing at the event after the break.
Whispered across generations, a hidden secret unveils the essence of longevity and vitality, a timeless legend regarding energy and wonder. Rooted in ancient health wisdom, we proudly introduce Pure Tang Black Ginseng, a 100% natural organic energy drink made from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng. It takes 2,260 days and nights from seed to growth, undergoing a meticulous 9-step process of steaming and drying. Black ginseng reaches its full potency, enriched with ginsenoside RG3 and enhanced absorption efficiency. No sugar, no caffeine, no artificial ingredients. Experience the pure, natural power of Pure Tang Black Ginseng. Nourish your body, strengthen your immunity, and boost your energy. To order Pure Tang Black Ginseng, please visit puretang.com. Say goodbye to harsh, bitter coffee and hello to a delicious, smooth brew. With specialty quality beans, expertly roasted in-house, you'll taste the difference with every sip. Fermented with a blend of 50 enzymes, Days Coffee delivers a rich brew like no other. Made with the highest grade specialty beans available, you're sure to taste the difference. Elevate your morning with Days Enzyme Fermented Coffee.
Mathis Home is the place to find the latest looks for your new dining room.
And now's the time to come in with Memorial Day savings store-wide.
This dining set is a perfect example. Get the 72-inch table in a deep black finish with 4 upholstered side chairs and the bench. All 6 pieces for just $6.99. That's an incredible deal.
We have over 100 dining sets in stock with fast and easy financing and free delivery. Get your new dining room today.
With Memorial Day savings at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
When it comes to disasters and emergencies, it's not a matter of if, but when.
I'm relying on luck, but who knows if it'll be on my side.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Take control at ready.gov/older adults.
I trod on my glasses yesterday, and I had to pay up front for a new pair that I can't even pick up for another 10 days. So I looked for another way, and I found Select Specs. I ordered online. My new glasses just arrived this morning, and I can pay over the next few weeks. This is the way to buy glasses.
See now, pay later with Select Specs. Next day delivery and deferred payment options only at selectspecs.com.
Welcome back. Just steps away from our studio in New York City, the 38th International Contemporary Furniture Fair, also known as ICFF, is kicking off today. While the fair showcases many directions, from bold designs to technological creativity, some exhibitors stood out for their commitment to natural materials and real-world comforts. Let's take a look.
We're exhibiting our collection of planters this year. They're all architectural and made-to-order planters in cast concrete. They're cast by hand and they're all made to order. We sell only to the design trade. My concept for the installation, which we called the temple. The temple really means to have a reverence for the natural world. I'm trying to express and to celebrate the extravagance of plant material and the plant kingdom. For me, it was about creating a vessel that was worthy of having this plant material in it. So you can display the plant like a living piece of sculpture.
What makes us very special is that we only use natural materials, no latex, no foam, no off gases. Our systems are individually pocketed springs, so it's a traditional spring system which supports your body evenly throughout. So when you lay in a Heston's, you're gonna feel this weightlessness sensation. And the best thing about it is our beds are engineered to last 50 to 100 years. We are a heritage company, so it's family owned. We're in 5th generation, and we're about to go in the 6th generation family. So we have stores across the globe, about 300 or more, and it's still growing.
This year's edition reflects an industry increasingly drawn to honest materials and human-centered comfort. The 38th International Contemporary Furniture Fair will run through next Tuesday, May 19th. Don't miss it if you'd like to look for new furniture with unique designs and ideas. Thank you so much for watching NTD Evening News. For round-the-clock original news coverage, visit us at ntd.com or download our NTD app. I'm Chris Beers. Have a good night.